what it means to be brave.
Live from beautiful this week. Beautiful. Perfect. Northeast Tennessee.
Fall's coming.
Oh, man. Fall is coming. Football is in the air already. I love it. We had some really great games this past weekend. So, by the way, a real quick shout out. The drummer on the song that we just, our opening song there, passed away a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. So, shout out to Leah Cuffey, his widow. Alan was a great guy. He was a great producer, a great friend. So, New York will never be the same again. That's where he was at.
Is that where you all recorded?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
We were out in New York and did a bunch of stuff out there. So,
wow. How long ago did you record that song?
Good night.
Been a minute.
20. Yeah. I'd say 20 years probably.
Wow.
Yeah. We were way ahead of our time.
Yeah.
Electric
That's a
guitars
great song.
and everything.
I like it. Well, I was listening to the first part of our podcast from last week, and we were talking about two different things. So I love this intro song, but you said it was hot. It's been hotter than a $2 pistol. Yeah. I was thinking about the song. Have you heard
hotter
that song?
than a $2 pistol?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I said, I need to correct that on the record.
Yeah, I've heard it. And by the way, I wanted to say tonight's episode, we're going to dive into some things that I actually don't know as much about as I should, and I apologize up front, right out of the gates. For example, I don't know anything about Tim Pool.
Oh, man.
Suing Kamala. I mean, it's great. Everybody needs to.
Yeah.
But
yeah, well, he's suing the campaign.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. All right.
Same difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can get into that one whenever you want.
Yeah, I would love to, but I want to open up with Trump, and because here's the thing. What really grates on my nerves is that we still have no idea what was done, who was there on Epstein Island.
Yeah.
We know it was bad, but do you know? I know that Alan Dershowitz was there.
Mm-hmm. He still claims his innocence, and he's saying that this was the suggestion that he was there.
Yeah.
Was completely false.
Right.
So,
but like PolitiFact came out, right?
Yeah.
He was there. He claims he wasn't.
Right.
Okay. I'm going to just say maybe he wasn't there. Nobody seems to know.
Yeah.
Except for the people who know.
Right. Well, and we know Bill Clinton was there. We know that's
one name. Yep.
Bill Gates was there a lot.
So there's like a couple of people that you go, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. I want to know if Larry Fink or somebody like that was there.
So
the BlackRock guy.
So yeah, right.
I mean,
well, it might be his island.
Well,
I mean, so it might be. I mean, gosh, you never know, right? What with this world that we're in.
A guy that's a billionaire that nobody knows how he became a billionaire.
Yeah,
it's widely assumed it's because he was selling influence or he had blackmail on people.
At any rate, the list is still not public after how many years?
Oh gosh, I don't even know how long it's been now.
Yeah, I mean
4 or 5 years.
Yeah, Epstein didn't kill himself probably 5 years ago. So, and we
Christmas ornaments or drywall and Jeffrey Epstein. Name 3 things that don't hang themselves.
Right. So here we are in this, and it just keeps coming up like a joke, right? Who are these people? Well, this week, Trump comes out, and I'm just going to say this: vote for him just for this fact. Whether you like him or not doesn't matter. I want to know who's on the list. And he has made the claim that he will make that list public so that we will all know who's on it. That is a game changer.
Yes, it's huge. And it wasn't just that, but for the folks that don't know, this is his interview with Lex Friedman. Lex Friedman is kind of he's a deep thinker sort of podcast guy. Very good at what he does. I mean, he's very, very good at what he does. kind of mundane presentation, that sort of deal.
Kind of like us, like
Yeah.
Bueller.
Bueller. But, unique delivery, but he's obviously very, very popular. And they're over 3.5 million, I think, views now.
Oh, a couple more than we have.
Yeah. But this is great. Donald Trump does a good job with this stuff. Let me go ahead and play the video instead of yapping.
Standpoint.
A lot of people are very interested in the footage of UFOs. The Pentagon has released a few videos, and there's been anecdotal reports from fighter pilots. So a lot of people want to know, will you help push the Pentagon to release more footage, which a lot of people claim is available?
Oh, yeah, sure, I'll do that. I would do that. I'd love to do that. I have to do that. But they also are pushing me on Kennedy. And I did release a lot, but I had people come to me and beg me not to do it. But I'll be doing that very early on. But I would do that.
There's a moment where you had some hesitation about Epstein, releasing some of the documents on Epstein. Why the hesitation?
I don't think I'm not involved. I never went to his island, fortunately. But a lot of people did.
Why do you think so many smart, powerful people allowed him to get so close?
He was a good salesman. He was, was a hale and hearty type of guy. He had some nice assets that he'd throw around, like islands. But a lot of big people went to that island. But fortunately, I was not one of them.
It's just very strange for a lot of people that the list of clients that went to the island has not been made public.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Probably will be, by the way. Probably.
So if you're able to, you'll be...
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it. Now, Kennedy's interesting because it's so many years ago. They do that for danger, too, because, endangers certain people, et cetera, et cetera. So Kennedy is very different from the Epstein thing. But, yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it.
That's great to hear. What gives...
I mean, he committed to the UFO documents, the Kennedy documents, and the Epstein list, all in a 2-minute period of time.
And I believe him.
I believe him too.
I don't, and especially because, like you said, I never visited the island 3 times, he said.
Yeah.
I was never there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we do know that he knew him.
Yeah, you knew him.
And I read that there was the only dirt they have on him, because you know as well as I do that if Trump set foot on that island,
oh yeah,
it'd be all over the place.
It'd be everywhere.
But he didn't.
That would be one of the few names that are released off that list.
Right. In fact, the only thing that he had done was apparently they were flying into New York and got diverted and had to find a place to land, and so they called him, and Trump got them a place to land.
Ah, okay.
So that's like the correspondence that they had.
Yeah.
And, obviously there was tons of parties and tons of things that they hobnobbed celebrities.
Yeah, there's pictures and stuff. So there, you can see them.
But he never did. He never went. He never visited. He wasn't Clinton's. He wasn't, the other people.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to know. The Kennedy Files, I wonder if that has everything to do with Kennedy throwing his hat in for Trump, if he's like, I'll release this.
Yeah, well, he said he was going to have him as the head of the Commission on Presidential Assassinations, which there's only 2 that we don't know what happened, know, and that means that he's going to get to sift through all the files that Kennedy is going to be able to sift through all the files that he probably hasn't had access to.
Boy, that is making some people shake in their boots, I bet.
Oh, well, okay, so here's the thing. Judge Napolitano?
Mm-hmm.
Judge Napolitano did an interview, this was several years ago, after Trump had been out, so it's been in the past 3.5 years. And he said that he spoke to Donald Trump about, hey, you need to, are you going to release the Kennedy documents? And Trump said, he released some of but not the damning evidence of what had actually happened. And he said, Judge, one day when we're older, I'll sit down and I will tell you what I saw in that, but I can't release that to the American people. He was taken aback so much, possibly because it was his first term, and he thought, okay, releasing this is going to unleash the Kraken, and they're going to come after me or whatever. But he said, essentially alluding to the fact the American people aren't prepared to handle what's in that. And Judge Napolitano tried to make the argument that, no, they have to see this. This is, proof of all this. You know what I mean? So
Well, I mean, I guess
proof of all the stuff that we've been saying about a deep state. And
right. And here's the thing. I don't know too many Americans that don't think that is a government cover-up. Most people I know go, yeah, Kennedy was assassinated.
yeah, the CIA took him out.
By us,
Right.
right? And then it feeds right into the narrative of the jab and everything else.
Right.
Where it's like, oh, I mean, I heard a commercial today for a new round. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Are people still falling for this? I mean, they are.
They are.
They are.
Oh, yeah.
Figuratively and literally, people are still falling for this, right?
Yeah.
So, you sit back and go, the trust in the government is gone.
Right.
It's already gone. You might as well release it all. What are you guys trying to hide? And the first guy that comes out and releases it all, there's going to be trust in that guy.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't want him in there if he's going to release this stuff. If he's going to release the Kennedy files, the UFO stuff, if he's going to release the list of Epstein people, of which, man alive, heads are going to roll.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you find
100%.
out that the CFO of some major corporation, CEO, like the boycotts, the everything. It's like,
You can that list can upend the economy, which is probably why it hasn't been released yet.
right. That's right. It could upend the economy, which is probably why they haven't released it.
Yeah.
Or at this point, maybe it would stabilize the economy or reverse it.
Well, and I think there's probably a lot of people out there who still think that this is going to be a whole big list of Democrats there's going to be people on both sides.
Oh yeah.
Of all political stripes that are completely unsuspecting.
Right.
That are going to be on that list.
Right.
And you kind of have to prepare yourself for
I
that.
love the analogy that Pastor J.D. Farag gave of Democrats and Republicans are two sides of the same coin.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same coin.
It is.
There's dirt in both sides. There's dirt in both camps. I mean, I remember I was so in favor of the Tea Party movement.
Yeah.
When it came out, because I was like, finally, we're going to get some blood in here that's not this rhino and Democrat. It's going to be new. It's going to be Constitution based. It's going to be moral based. Boy, was I wrong. I mean, like, because politicians are going to politic.
Right. Well, and there's fringes now. It's the fringes that are making, I feel like making the biggest waves and where there's the most room for, improvement on the Republican side. The Republican Party, there's nobody. Okay, I was looking at stats for, congressional approval ratings. The last numbers we have are 2023, about a year ago, or the latest ones that I found, and 13%. I guarantee you it has not changed much from 13%, but people don't like Lindsey Graham. They don't like Mitch McConnell, but they keep getting elected. The people that are making the biggest waves are Donald Trump, first off, because he is not establishment.
Right.
That's why they hate him so much and why they are trying to end his political career and have been ever since he came down the escalator, because he is not in the club. And then you've got the Lindsey Grahams and those people. They keep getting reelected. Nobody knows how, because they're never primaried. But then the Josh Hawleys,
Yeah.
the Matt Gaetz,
Yeah.
Marjorie Taylor Greenes, Lauren Boeberts, they make huge waves, and they don't play nice with the establishment. So when they say you need to be lockstep, they're like, this isn't what my constituents want. So
This
I'm
isn't
not
what I
gonna do
signed
it.
up for. Right. This isn't what my people want. My
Right.
people want what they want, and I represent my people. They're doing it the way it's supposed to be done.
Exactly.
Right.
And they are in the minority. And there's people on the left that do the same thing.
Yes. But
And they're the fringes. But those fringes, buddy, those things they're gonna take over. I have this strong inclination that,
well, so I guess, and this comes back to the Aurora thing.
Mhm.
The fringes are going to take over. So you have in Aurora an entire, basically almost a city block at this point that's being run by this Venezuelan gang.
Yeah.
And the rumor is that the Hells Angels are mounting up and they're heading out there because that's not what we do in America, right? Where are the police in Aurora? I mean, I know they've come out and said the Hells Angels aren't coming, but if it's that extreme, why hasn't the National Guard been called up? Why hasn't the, it is a problem that needs dealt with.
I don't know if I have it in my notes. 'Cause you mentioned that. I don't think that I saved that clip. There is an interview out there that was done with, I don't think it was in Aurora. I think it was in Denver. But nonetheless, Colorado has become, in a lot of ways, and in a lot of cities, sanctuary cities. And
Yeah, they're not doing anything. But see, the thing, as a Coloradoan, former, right?
Yeah.
I can tell you the people of Colorado are not sanctuary people.
Right.
Especially you get outside of Denver into the hills, into the mountains. They're not hills. We live in the hills. But by and large, Colorado's a lot of conservatives, a lot of America First people,
Well, it happens in a lot of those purple states. I mean, California is blue, 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 but it's blue, blue, blue along the coastline. If you look at the counties, is a lot of red out there.
yeah, a ton of red.
So much.
And so you look at it and go, though, for those people, even the ones in Aurora, I saw an interview with a woman who's lived there, born and raised, hysterically crying. This isn't my city anymore. And we've done this. You mean to tell me that, in Michigan, Dearborn, Michigan, thousands of people march for Palestine, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're wanting Sharia law up there. And I've been to Dearborn many times. The Dearborn 20 years ago is gone.
Right.
It's gone.
Right.
But those people are still there.
But that's the I don't even think I could say the word, the great R theory, where we are bringing in people from outside who don't have our shared values and morals and don't have any loyalty to our Constitution and our way of life.
Yeah.
In order to replace the people that are already here and try to kind of flip the script
Kind of
on politics.
reset things a little bit, maybe.
Yeah. That was a great way to bring in that word.
Yeah.
And so that's that's obviously part of the long-term plan here.
It's the agenda.
Right. And when you create a sanctuary city, and like Denver, as I was saying in that interview with that police officer said that essentially these guys lured through, they were, I guess, kind of trolling a guy, kind of like what the pedo hunters do online.
yeah.
They did that with someone who was trying to scam an elderly person. They got them to come to the building, and they had called the police about this guy coming to scam him. And he was attempting to take like $200,000 from this person. They said, look, this guy was obviously he's part of a scam operation, and they refused to arrest him. And they got in this long conversation. The police did.
I saw this video.
Yeah, because it's a sanctuary city. He said, look, I've given a double homicide. I let a double homicide walk because we are a sanctuary city. A homicide. The guy had.
And so this is why when you hear the Hells Angels are going out there, it's not too far-fetched because nobody else will do anything about it.
True.
Here's the problem. The Hells Angels go to jail for murdering a Venezuelan.
Right.
The Venezuelan can turn around and murder them and walk away from it.
Yeah.
How does this...
Can't say the M word on YouTube, by the way.
How does this make any sense?
I don't know. It doesn't. Vigilante justice, things will get bad enough. And this is what sometimes I feel like they're trying to push us this way, because vigilante justice is what they hope will happen. Because, okay, a prime example here. Aurora, Colorado, what we're just talking about, how many legally armed people are going there in their own city to take it over? And there's a lot of them in Colorado.
Yeah.
You're allowed to have firearms in Colorado.
Yes.
How many of them are actually going to do something about it? None of them.
They're law-abiding citizens.
They're
They won't
law-abiding
do it.
citizens. And so they are trying to build up the pressure to make law-abiding citizens take action in defense of their own property, their own people, their own children.
Why would that be? Because for the most part, law-abiding citizens that own firearms,
Yeah, they're not the ones doing anything.
well, but they're mostly conservative,
Right.
right? They're mostly... So you end up vilifying a voter base,
Yeah.
pretty quickly and easily when that voter base is trying to stand up for what's right.
Right. Well, I have a video coming out. Shout out to my Continue Freedom podcast. There, you say I need to. I
Go
need to
for it.
pitch
You
that
do.
more.
You need to pitch it. It's great.
But if you go to Continue Freedom on YouTube, I was talking about the Second Amendment, and this happened after the school shooting today, which we may or may not get into. But the first call is for gun control, gun control, gun control, and when I looked at Aurora, Colorado, the first thing I thought was there are laws. It was in the 1980. It was either the 84. Or I did a whole rundown of all the gun laws that we've had since the 1934, the NFA in 1934. Every decade or so, we revise it and all this. It written specifically in there is that illegal immigrants are not allowed to own firearms. And yet you have an entire block taken over by illegal immigrants with firearms. The law only applies to the law-abiding citizen, and no matter how many laws you write, by their very nature, criminals don't care about laws.
Yeah, I think we all know. Everybody agrees.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that.
Yep.
I mean,
And
so, here we are in this, the vigilante justice, which I believe if things continue the way they are, will start to rise. It hasn't yet, but I think we're getting there. When you have people who are citizens of this country being thrown out of their own living space so that others can move in. It's a level of anger that we've never experienced here.
yeah,
It's a level of frustration that we've never experienced. And how we choose to deal with it is really important. I don't think vigilante justice is right. I don't think that people should take matters into their own hands until they come to the voter box. Right? Which, by and large, the vast majority of Americans don't even trust that anymore.
right.
So we've got real issues.
I would say that when they can take it into their own hands is, I believe in castle doctrine. We've got castle doctrine in Tennessee. We've got castle
Yes.
doctrine in Texas and a lot of other places. When I lived in Virginia, it was vague, and so it could go either way.
Well,
If you-
explain for people what
Yeah, so-
is castle doctrine.
So castle
Because-
doctrine means if I am in my home, I don't have a duty to leave my home if someone else comes in. I have the right to defend myself lethally if necessary. And that's by whatever means I, deem necessary, more or less. So if I have a pew pew, I can use it when someone comes into my house. Now there are states where castle doctrine, like I believe it's New Jersey. New Jersey requires you to retreat even out of your home if someone breaks into your home before you can discharge a firearm in protection of your own property. And that's not just New Jersey. That's in places like New York, and Hawaii was much the same. When I lived out in Hawaii, there is no castle doctrine. So if someone comes in your home with a knife, a gun, a whatever, and you defend yourself lethally, you will go to prison or can go to prison. And in a lot of cases, people do. So you got to live in a state, in my opinion, where there's a castle doctrine, because one of your basic, that's why we have a Second Amendment. One of your basic rights is self-preservation.
Yeah.
I don't have to sacrifice my life for a criminal. The criminal who comes into my home is going to sacrifice their lives.
Right. They're the ones risking it, not
Right,
me.
right.
Yeah. And that makes sense. But the castle doctrine is important. However, what do you do when you're so greatly out armed and the number of people? I mean, it's not just one or two trying to break in. It's an entire gang
Yeah.
that are running the show.
Right.
And so the only thing that we can do, because this gang is above the law, this is what drives me nuts. They're above the law. The law's not going to hold them accountable because the law doesn't apply to them.
Right. Well, there's people out there who they get a very bad rap, but they talk about preparing as a neighborhood, right? We're very disconnected as people now. Our community is almost non-existent, I feel like. So do you know your neighbors?
Yes.
When something happens, do you have people that are, like-minded, say that they are 2A enthusiasts of some sort, or they are at least 2A competent, and they understand, okay, this is what I have. This is where we would meet if something drastic happened, because you never know. And there's folks out there that try to prepare individuals for worst case scenarios, zombie apocalypse. Not that that's going to happen, but massive power outages, an attack on our infrastructure. There's going to become thirsty, hungry, desperate people. And as communities, that's how you are going to protect yourself, your family, and you have to kind of band together and learn to work together. Well, if you're just generating a friendship or some sort of a relationship out of thin air, then that's probably the wrong answer, and there's going to be conflict, and you don't need conflict in the midst of a crisis.
Right.
So there's guys out there, a lot of them, that get a very bad rap, but it is incredibly important, I think.
Well, yeah, to know your neighbor.
Yeah.
Yeah, to really know your neighbor.
To really know your neighbor.
Yep.
Yep. Have a beer with them every now and then, or whatever, or beverage of choice.
Yeah. Go over with a fire pit. I mean, our neighbors across
have
the
a barbecue.
way just got a bloodhound, and it's been.
Oh, wow.
I actually texted him the other day. It's amazing how dogs can bring people together. Like,
Right.
I have no idea where my dog is, and then I get a text from him like, "Hey, I've got your dog over here. She just ran over to play." And
those things. My brother got one of those dogs, and he had it for, I don't know, like a couple weeks, and it got on a scent and it disappeared. I never saw it again.
never saw it again.
Never
Yeah.
saw it again. It smelled something that had been, and it. Yeah.
They're amazing.
Yeah, they're
I
unbelievable.
mean, they're amazing. And that dog knows when we're home. That dog knows, and my dog, of course, goes nuts because she's got a friend across the street she can see.
Yeah.
And so she just scratches at the windows and everything else. And so, but, getting back to the Aurora thing, vigilante justice is wrong. But if you are in Denver and you're listening, cast your ballot to get rid of whoever is there.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, when we were out there, it was Hickenlooper, and it was, and it's like they were bad. It's gotten worse. And
Looper.
this just shows you how bad it can be.
Well, and to be a preparedness for people in Chicago. This is coming to the Venezuelan gangs are doing the same thing in Chicago.
Right.
And dude, I saw so many people online that were saying, I beg of you, don't do this in Chicago, because in Chicago, even though they're not supposed to, you bang on the wrong door and they're going to shoot first and ask questions later.
Yeah, I don't know that Chicago would be a good place for them. There's
They
enough.
are. They're heading there to try to take over parts of Chicago.
Well, Chicago's already pretty segregated and taken over by different pockets, right? I mean,
by different pockets.
and you sit back and go, okay, Aurora, great, Denver. Where's the Crips at and the Bloods? Where's the, where are all the gangs that are like, no?
Yeah.
I mean, this used to be a thing in cities when I was a kid,
Used to be. Yeah.
and it's almost like I don't know if they're just taken back in shock. I don't know, but
Yeah.
it is really it makes us look really soft.
It does. But I think it also it can be a positive thing, because it shows a level of restraint on our behalf.
Yes.
So I hate seeing people terrorized, but I hate seeing people terrorized, and I wish that. Have you seen these? You can see them online all the time. The same thugs come in, try to rob a store, and the guy starts emptying
Yeah.
whatever at him. And I'm careful about what I say because we're on YouTube. And
A Burna.
right. And so they take action, and how many of them run? Because these are young adolescent kids.
Yeah.
Who think that they
all run.
Right. They all run. They run every time.
Yeah.
And I think that a few, well-armed folks probably could have dispelled.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think from what I understand, it's too late.
Oh yeah, it is now.
They
Yeah,
own
it's
it,
too late now.
and they're not giving it back.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I mean, speaking of Burnas, I do want to get a Burna. I do think that that's the coolest non-lethal.
Mm-hmm.
They're made in Indiana. I hear all about them. I've done my research on them, and it's like, that's legit, man.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to be a good shot, so this year, John Roberts, this year when I come out to your place, I might bring a Burna and just gas a deer, since I can't seem to hit them. It might be a safer way for me to do it.
Yeah.
It's non-lethal.
Well, I'd prefer the other one.
Yeah. Smell like gunpowder instead
Yeah.
of CO2.
Yeah.
So did I just say that? Yes, I did.
Yes, you did.
Said the G word.
Yes, you did.
So speaking of G words,
Yeah.
Trump calls for religious revival in America. He doesn't go
He doesn't go that far.
he doesn't quite invoke the name of Christ. but we all know what he means, I think.
We do. Yeah.
I am not speaking of, I got to say this because there are people that are just gaga over Trump, what he's doing and everything else. And so far, what he said and what he's doing are like, okay, well, the Arlington thing is a great example.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking about that a couple days ago where, I've done funerals. I've been at memorial services, all those things, and they're never something you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it's a horrible thing, or it's not like you loathe them or dread them, but they're hard, and it's not easy to go into people's grief.
Yeah.
But for somebody like him who had the right, he's not the sitting president. He didn't have to go there. He didn't even have to honor their wishes. And I think they would have understood, like, listen, I'm campaigning. I'm super busy, but my thoughts and prayers are with you. That would have been enough. But instead he goes.
Yeah.
And then this media blitz on him about photo ops and everything else. When he was asked to be there, all the families have come out. Almost all the families have come out and against what Kamala has said about this being a political stunt. They've all come out and said, no, we invited him here.
Yes.
We wanted the cameras. We wanted this. And what do you say to, I give them great kudos for trying to set the record straight. You never hear this on any of the mainstream medias. They're not showing any of that.
Right.
So thank you, Lord, for social media. And I don't say that very often, but thank you, Lord, for the social media platforms where people are getting the word out of, hey, wait a minute. He was asked and he went out of his way, where the other two were too busy.
Right. One at the beach and one, I guess, because she was campaigning. Is that what? I don't even know. I think she was preparing for the debate.
Probably.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, getting things tattooed.
Yeah.
So she could remember.
Jeez. But that's a job. I guess I could understand from the family, and maybe it's my fault for not reading that beforehand. But I knew they wanted him there. They asked him to come, but I don't know if they also asked them or if they told them not to come, because I think they did something after the fact. But the actual ceremony there was when Trump was there. So I don't know. I can't imagine that they would have positive feelings about the guy who was leading the charge when we were leaving Afghanistan.
Truth. That's true. They might have asked him not to come.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have asked him to come either.
My first response was, this is the job of the president to be setting that wreath. And Donald Trump is doing it. Good job, Donald Trump, because it can be a former president, I assume. But I was like, well, maybe it was just the family. The family asked Trump to be there. Maybe that's what it was. So
they didn't feel like they had to be there. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they didn't make an effort. There was no effort, man.
There was no effort.
So, yeah. Anyway.
Well, it looks toxic too. So I thought there's probably some messaging there, like the visuals, the optics of that is that, hey, we're the ones who made this just absolute train wreck of a decision on how to pull out of Afghanistan. We were the ultimate decision makers, or Joe Biden was, and so it looks bad for us to be here when it's our fault, and it didn't have to be this way.
I don't know that they think that through that hard. I don't think they have
Probably not.
the mental capacity to hit that note. So, but you're right. But yeah, this headline: Trump calls for religious revival in America.
I think that they over explained this one, or they editorialized a bit,
Just a little.
but he was saying, and I'll play the clip. This is actually good. The clip is where did it go here? It was from Trump War Room is who posted the clip, but it was from the Lex Friedman interview. Same thing. Let me move all this stuff out of the way here. Let's listen.
Tragic things about life is that it ends. How often do you think about your death? Are you afraid of it?
I have a friend who's very, very successful, and he's in his 80s, mid 80s, and he asked me that exact same question. I turned it around. I said, well, what about you? He said, I think about it every minute of every day. And then a week later, he called me to tell me something, and he starts off the conversation by going, tick, tock, tick, tock.
Yeah.
Now, this is a dark person, in a sense, but it is what it is. I mean, if you're religious, you have, I think, a better feeling toward it. You know, you're supposed to go to heaven, ideally not hell, but you're supposed to go to heaven if you're good. I think our country's missing a lot of religion. I think it really was a much better place with religion. It was almost a guide, you know, to a certain extent it was a guide. You want to be good to people. Without religion, there are no guardrails. I'd love to see us get back to religion, more religion in this country.
So in his own way, that's him calling for it. But it's a valid point. I mean, I did. You think about what this guy's been through. A near-death experience, a bullet millimeters away from his head. That's got to get you at least thinking.
It does, but you know, I remember that there were prophetic words over him that, you know, one guy, we played it here, where the guy had said, you know, well, he's on the ground, he's having an encounter with Christ, and he's going to be radically saved and changed and everything else. And okay, and I wish Dr. Briscoe was here tonight, because he would be going nuts about this clip. Like,
Oh yeah,
where's Jesus in that?
yeah.
Why hasn't he said, you know, a relationship with Christ changes the way you look at the end, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know that he is not afraid to say it. I don't know if he has it. And because somebody that has it would never not say it.
Let me ask you a question. We've had this conversation several times, and a lot of people have this conversation about him. We've never had to have this conversation about any other president that in my lifetime. Nobody has questioned where he sits with Christ.
True.
And it's because he lived his life in the limelight, and he was so, he lived his life in the limelight. All of his flaws were out there to see. We never got to see some of the flaws we knew about George Bush and his cocaine habit and his drinking habit early on. He said he quit, but he did some pretty nefarious stuff just through policy. Barack Obama, similar concept. He was attended Jeremiah Wright's church. Jeremiah Wright is a very well-known anti-Semite.
Right.
And you could go down the list. Nobody cared about. Joe Biden said he was a devout Catholic, but he supports abortion. He was the church said he couldn't take the Eucharist. They put all these restrictions on him because he supports things that are antithetical to the Catholic Church.
I'll just cut you off, because here's the difference. The evangelical church is so in the tank, or was so in the tank for Trump, that he can't not be. I mean, he's got to be spirit-filled, spirit-led. He's got to be, you know, he's in touch with Jesus. And I think therein lies the problem, is that we want to believe that, you know, as followers of Christ, we want to believe that.
Yeah.
I want to believe it because he's my president. I'm going to vote for him. And, you know, he's got a good moral compass. He doesn't have a good moral compass. Look at his life, right?
Personal moral compass. He does.
Personal moral compass. He doesn't get it. Now, through this experience or whatever, maybe he's got a different moral compass. Now, his policies had good moral compasses, right? There's a lot of good things that he's done, but even his stand on abortion,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So he's got to be really careful, because if you go too far, the evangelical church is like,
Well, and you lose the moderates.
and you lose the moderates.
If you go too far evangelical, you lose the moderates. If you go too far moderates, you lose the evangelicals.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance.
It really
and he's
is.
a master politician, even though he's not a politician,
That's a great way to put it.
right? So
Yeah.
here he is saying, we got to get back to religion. Things were so much better with religion. And I agree. Things were so much better when we were in a country that actually cared about the moral compass of the fiber of the human being, right? But he's not saying what religion.
Yeah.
Now, we
You can deduce what he means.
easily deduce, because he's definitely not in favor of Sharia law,
Right.
right?
Right.
He's definitely not that guy. So he's talking about Christian morals, Christian values, the value of life. But this doesn't deserve the headline. that he calls for religious revival in America,
No.
because that is so misleading from, getting back to core values, which is what he's after, is not a religious revival in America. Getting people saved is a religious revival in America. That's not what he's saying.
Right.
He's saying it was better when it was baseball and apple pie. That's what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
And he's using religion, which is great. All the bells and whistles go off. But there was again, I got to be careful how I say this. Trump will be our president, but he's not my God,
No. Yeah.
right?
Right.
He's
not some messianic figure.
no, Jesus is my savior.
Yeah.
Trump is just a guy.
Yeah.
And what he has pointed out to us, however, like we started the show with, is he's bringing up things that as American people, we have the right to know that we don't know. We have the right to know what's going on behind this. We have the right to not have a deep state.
Yeah.
And I think if everybody knew how deep the deep state was, everybody would vote for anybody but any of these politicians, right?
Yeah.
It'd be great to be that. You'd be a school teacher and not a coach.
Right.
We got to get into that too, by the way, how his whole family
Oh yeah.
has.
I can pull that one up when you're ready.
But it would be great to be that guy in the corner who's like, well, I guess I'll run for president, because I'm not a politician. I have no experience, whatever. But people are going to vote for you because the deep state's out now. People know
Yeah.
that their vote doesn't matter, that they're, that it's all programming, that what we're eating isn't right, that it's what we're eating is causing all these medical problems so that other people are making money and staying in power, right? It's this big conspiracy. It's a huge conspiracy. And I think because of social media, shows like ours and Rogan and, isn't it great? Put that.
Yeah. Put it right up there.
But that's how it's getting out,
Yeah.
where people are like, oh, wait a minute. And I would just challenge people to do your own homework. Just do some research and don't take what ABC and CBS and Fox, none of them.
100%.
Do your own research and look at ingredients. Look at all the stuff that's happening and how nefarious the plan of the enemy is to bring the very last bastion of freedom, religious freedom, to its knees. Because I'll tell you, I do believe that the Antichrist system has already been set up, that we're right on the precipice of seeing things happen. And I think this election is going to play into this a little bit. I'm not prophesying it, but we are right on the precipice of things breaking loose, with Israel being where it is, surrounded by all, the occupier Israel. Are you kidding me? Take a look at a map.
Yeah.
Tell me, what are they occupying?
Yeah.
Palestinians can go anywhere they want. Well, actually, they can't anymore because most of the Arab nations don't want them anymore because of the mess that they keep stirring up.
Egyptians don't want them. The Jordanians don't want them.
Because they keep poking the bear, and they don't want that. They just want things to be. And so, anyway, you look at where we're at, and it's all just a setup that has been orchestrated for the past 70 years to bring this new communist Marxist agenda in, which is satanic, for us to worship Earth, which is satanic, and I just harken back to this one fact, and we've said it here 1,000 times. The demons of old, the gods of old that people used to worship that were not Yahweh, that were not God, have not changed. They are still the same. They just have a different name, a different skin, if you will. They're still here. The same spirits that ruled the cities then are still the same spirits ruling the cities now. They just have changed how they do it. And so we're consumed with saving the planet when God says, I'm going to burn it all, and it's going to all become new. So we're consumed with saving what's temporary. We're consumed with the temporal, what we can have here and now, and not eternity, right? And it's sad. So, but getting on to the humor.
Which one? The Walz?
Yes, it's so good.
It is really good.
It's great. I mean, you want to talk. So, first of all, remember, he's a Minnesotan, right? I
Yes.
know people in Minnesota. You get outside the Twin Cities, and Minnesota's farmland. It's conservative. It's, it's these stupid cities that just mess it all up for everybody, right? But this is Tim Walz's family in celebration endorsing Donald Trump. I wonder if he speaks to any of them anymore. I mean, his brother.
His brother came out and
His brother is
Yeah.
not happy about this.
no, he said Tim Walz is not a guy that you want, as a leader in government, period.
I mean, I wonder what their childhood was like together. I wonder what happened.
I don't know.
But-
I don't know. But if his recent antics are any indicator, when you talk about his stolen valor, and I keep seeing more and more of it.
Oh, I know.
The guy's been in politics for I don't know how many years, decades. And it's like time after time. And the latest one came out when I was in Afghanistan. You weren't in Afghanistan,
We're
bro.
never in Afghanistan.
Yeah, you weren't. And so some of it is pre-internet days, or early internet days. He's been lying about that stuff forever. So he's probably got a track record. I mean, if you're lying now, 60 years later, or not 60 years, but
40.
40, whatever it's been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to wonder. I love the comment that David J. Harris put up. Wow, if Tampon Tim, that they call him that.
Yeah.
Because, and for those of you that don't know, he wanted to put tampons in the men's restrooms.
Yeah.
Which makes perfect. That's not a waste of money.
No, not at all.
I mean, that's the kind of stuff the government does, right?
Golly, that's what you need to worry about.
Yeah.
Great day in the morning. But no, I mean, this is kind of I don't know. If you look at somebody with his record, and then you see what these campaigns, and I'll pull up this one about Tim Pool. This is probably a good spot to do this because it involves Kamala. If I could find it. Where did it go, Jeremy? Oh, my goodness gracious.
Well, you're looking. No, 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 no. I want to get back to the fact that we are, there it is. We are in the last, I do believe that this election is going to be crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters who wins. I think if this election is stolen by either side, the other side's going nuts.
Yeah. Well, if it's only going to be stolen by one side. Republicans aren't stealing the
Okay,
election.
I just don't want to.
Yeah. Well, if you need socialism, like you were saying before, if you need socialism, there's only one side of the aisle to go for socialism, and that's to the left.
Yes.
The further you get towards the right, you get far too close to the Constitution. That's like
Right.
that's
You can't
Icarus
have
in
the
the sun, right?
Constitution. You
Yeah.
can't have it.
Right.
So it's going to be fascinating for me to see, for us to live through this time where, when the last election, everybody was still. Nobody did anything. Even though I think half of America, right, felt like there's no way this happened. This didn't happen. I mean, I remember sitting there watching going like, are you kidding me? A guy that never left his basement did that and got more votes than Barack Obama did? There's no way. He doesn't carry the charismatic clout to have that, right? And so here we are again, round 2.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen?
In this election?
What do you think is going to happen in the aftermath?
Oh,
Let's say that it is her in the same way that Biden won the last one. What do you think the conservative right is going to do at this point? I mean,
I don't think anything.
you still think we'll sit back. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, flip the script. If Trump wins, what do you think the left is going to do?
Cities will burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
National Guard has to be called out.
Yep. I think that because people right now, there will be a march of some kind, but it will be overtly peaceful. And it will be
because we don't want the mess of last time,
Right.
when it was peaceful.
right. People have been scared off by what happened the last time.
Yeah.
So I think they will make it overtly peaceful. There will be some rabble rousers, I'm sure, but most folks are going to be so terrified to step foot near anything that could potentially be harmful. And so they'll shout, and Congress and, you know, all the people on Capitol Hill will say, the underlings, I don't care. Like, let them make their noise.
Oh, they don't care.
Give them a few days. They'll go back home. We'll go back to work. Let's get back to the business of wrecking America. And that's what I think will happen. But if Donald Trump wins, cities will burn. There will be mass carnage, and the media will look the other way. We'll have Brian Stelter, or, well, now that he's back at CNN, of course he's not. They're not putting him on camera, but we'll have some CNN reporter or an MSNBC reporter sitting there with, you know,
The dumpster burning in the background, and
fires and people being burned in effigy.
Yeah.
And he'll be sitting there saying, everything looks fine down here.
the peaceful
people,
protest.
you know, that's what we're going to see again.
Yeah.
So it'll be a repeat. And
But I guess that's the question then. You know, at 9:56, 4 minutes to go.
oh, wow,
Yeah.
that flew.
And I guess this is for the audience to ponder till the next time we talk. Like, are we on the edge of a civil war at this point? Because if they win and they start to burn cities down, how long do you think that's going to last before people go, we are done with this?
Yeah. You'll push people to breaking points, I think. Well, you got to think, though, the revolution, right? Our revolution actually went on for like 20 years.
Yeah.
There was a long stretch before the American Revolution happened. Same thing with the Civil War. There were
It went on a long time after, a long time before.
right,
Yeah.
a long time before, but there was a lot of skirmishes and conflicts and things leading up to. People didn't even think we were in a war. The first major battle. Okay, I'm the history major and I'm completely forgetting. People actually walked out and were setting up picnic baskets and
Watching.
what was going to happen. Like, it was, people were completely unprepared for what would happen. And then massive carnage, and 600,000 people later, the violence didn't necessarily stop, but the strife and the struggles and all that went on for, you know, a lot longer after that. So yeah, that's wars. People think that a civil war is going to be, that Lexington and Concord was the one thing that happened. That's what we see historically as, yes, we say that was
The turning point.
right. The turning point, the shot heard around the world, and this small band of people who the British were coming to disarm. And then it went on, but it took a while to get into full-fledged conflict.
Right.
So,
I don't know. I was talking the other day with somebody about this, and it just seems to me that it's going to take an act of God for a way out. And, you know, the word says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, which is hard to do. That's step one, right? Turn from their wicked ways. Seek my face, right?
mm-hmm.
Pray. I'll heal their land. It's interesting is I'll heal their land. And, you know, here we are at this place where it's like, maybe that is really specifically for us right now as believers, where we need to suck it up a little bit, realize that we're broken, realize that we don't have the answers no matter how much money is in your bank account. It's all going to be gone.
Yeah.
It's all going to burn. It's all for nothing. And I'll tell you, I'm not just talking about when Christ comes. I'm talking about this election. Everything that you've worked for can be taken away from you with the stroke of a pen, as she would put it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The stroke of a pen. One law, one thing. I mean, you know, the gains tax that she's talking about.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Middle class wealth is completely gone.
you're done.
Yeah, you're it. That's
I mean, I can't afford the appreciation of my house.
yeah.
I can't afford the tax on that of 25%.
But BlackRock will happily come in and buy it from you,
I'm sure they will.
and you can pay them rent.
Sure they will. Okay, what do we got with Tim Pool that he's
Oh
we're
yeah.
almost done here. Let's
Okay.
pull it up. One more thing.
I was going to just skip it, but yeah, Tim Pool. Essentially, what had happened was, right now he's suing. Oh goodness gracious! I just lost the article. Dadgummit.
So
CNN.
he's suing the Kamala Harris campaign for defamation.
Yeah, I keep looking at this CNN thing, and that's not the one. Hang on, let me pull it up here. I've got it. Now I've got it. Okay, so Tim Pool has announced a plan to sue Kamala Harris campaign for defamation. They came out and they made a post that said Trump operatives say that their Project 2025 plan is to give Trump total unchecked legal power so they can jail and execute those, as in actual execute those who don't support Trump if he wins. And they pulled an out of context clip because he says some, I wouldn't even say outlandish things. He's a very, very, very smart guy. There's a reason that he has tens of millions of views a week and makes insanely good points. I don't agree with him on everything, but nonetheless, they took an out of context part where he was arguing against the death penalty, arguing against authoritarianism, and they took that snippet and ran it. It got millions of views, and he is obviously entirely opposed to the death penalty, and he came out and made a lengthy statement about it. But he's got millions of dollars, millions upon millions of dollars, and he puts it to good use. And in this instance, he's putting his millions and millions of dollars to use suing them. Now, here's what I will leave people with: a conspiracy theory or some speculation that hopefully we'll have some more information on next week. While this happened on August 31st, so 5 days ago. Just today, I saw, it may have happened in the past 24 hours, that Tenet Media, which is where he does his other show, he does three live streams a day. He does 2 solo live streams. He does his 4-5 person live stream. And then he has a Culture War episode, which is done by Tenet Media. They just came out and accused Tenet Media of being partially or somehow on the payroll of RT, of Russian television. So now they're trying to tie Tim Pool, who is the largest live streamer on YouTube, at least political wise, largest live streamer, and they're trying to tie him to Russian TV.
What is it with Russia? And
people still think that Russia is some massive power. The only thing that Russia has got is nukes.
But here's the problem. They're going to accuse, they're going to try to do the Russia thing, Russia collusion, Russia this, when they're bringing Russia here.
Yeah.
Their policies and their ideology, which hasn't changed, according to her, my values haven't changed. Okay, you want to bring Russia here.
Yeah.
And yet so what's the problem? Isn't he helping them?
Well, this is the thing. They're saying that his talking points, which they are equating to, because I saw the Krasensteins posted, Brian Krasenstein posted something about, here's all the things that RT wants to be pushed, and he basically listed out what I know of Tim Pool's perspectives. They said these are all the ones he's trying to draw, because he's just a stooge of the left. He's trying to draw connections from Tim Pool to Russia. Tim Pool he's the antithesis of Russian authoritarianism, right?
Yeah.
And so this is what's going to happen. They're starting now over the next few months as the election gets tight to discredit all of these alternative media outlets who are getting larger viewership than mainstream media, who are lifting the veil. People like us that are lifting the veil.
Let's just beat them to it. Like we love Russia. My gosh. What's ridiculous?
So nefarious.
What's ridiculous to me, though, is that people will actually buy into this.
Yeah.
Even though it's the same play, even though it's the same. I mean, when Trump came out with nothing against him on this whole Russia thing that we paid for and dealt with for 4 years, are we not done yet with this? I mean, how are people still thinking that this is a viable, legitimate accusation when we just wasted millions of dollars and 4 years of our lives to find out that the very people who accused Trump of this Russia collusion were the ones that planted it and did it all along. And yet there's no accountability for that. Mm-hmm. Why? Are they all here illegally? I don't know. We're going to close our show with that.
I love it. Wow. You got to laugh to keep from crying sometimes.
Anyway, we did have, and we'll just finish with this. Next week, we'll get Ben on and we'll go over a few things, but I sent you earlier in the week the video of the guy who was talking about the megachurch pastors.
Yes.
And I think that once a month, we need to shift gears and do the good news.
Yeah.
Because it's so.
I've got that if you want me to play it.
Do you? We can close on that.
Okay, let's close on
So,
that one.
yeah, in fact, we're closing out till next week. We would encourage you to go ahead and make comments and everything else. Go ahead and email us if you have any questions at thebraverthantheRest@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. We get back to you, all that good stuff. Like and share us on every platform possible because we need all the help we can get. And
Get us outside of that pesky algorithm.
yeah, until next week, keep your eyes to the skies because our king is coming. And we'll finish out with this little video. It's fantastic.
From megachurch pastors, and I've kept some secrets, but my conscience will not allow me to stay quiet about these things anymore. So here they are, all true stories, names redacted. Hang tight. There's a reason I'm going public with this right now. So Pastor A led 2 different churches of over 10,000 people, and then he quietly stepped down in his prime to help plant a church in a city that needed one. And now instead of speaking at huge conferences, he renovates widows' homes and leads a Bible study for recovering addicts every Thursday morning. Pastor B pastored one of the 3 largest churches in America, and then he wrote an international bestseller. He used the money from the book to repay the church every dollar they'd ever salaried him and to launch a group of nonprofits that serve the poor. Pastor C sets aside a large portion of his family's income to anonymously help families adopt. They have a goal of funding 100 orphans adoptions before they're done. Pastor D is not like a hang out in the green room before services kind of guy. Instead, this guy arrives 3 hours before services every weekend to pray for the 10,000 people that attend his church. Now, here's my point. For every one public scandal you hear about, there's 100 secret successes. Now, you may say, well, then why don't I ever hear about them? Because planes that land safely don't make the news.
Boom.
Boom.
So good.
It's a good one to end on.
We'll see you next week.